Good morning, all of you. Uh, I, Makarand Pandey, Professor Navjivan Law College, welcome you on this particular occasion of starting of phase two. Uh, Today we have with us Honorable Prasad Kulkarni sir. He is uh, Judicial Magistrate First Class and CJJD Senior Division and Secretary DLSA District Legal Services Authorities Act. Friends, as you all know, the Constitution of India has defined and declared the common goal for the citizens through the preamble to secure all its citizens justice, that is social, economic, and political. Rather, Article 14 of the Constitution also speaks about the equality before the law and equal protection of the law. But due to the economic and other disabilities, the access to justice for all is denied to the weaker and poor sections of the society. Article 39A of the Constitution, inserted by the 42nd Amendment 1976, directs the state to provide free legal aid and assistance to the needy people. So, in pursuance of this amendment, the government of India have uh, decided to make a particular act, and in the year 1987, the National Legal Services Authorities Act was enacted, and the various authorities are established under this particular act. Now, this DLSA, District Legal Services Authorities Act, is also established by this act. And today we have with us Honorable Prasad Kulkarni sir, Secretary, District Legal Services Authorities Act, to speak on the on this particular occasion regarding the legal services and its effects. Now, Honorable Prasad Kulkarni sir has qualified his judges exam in the 2004 and joined judiciary. Since then, he worked at about 9 different places. He is appointed as a Secretary, District Legal Services Authority Nasik in the year 2019. So, and under his leadership, District Legal Services Authorities has arranged several Lok Adalat successfully, and lots of people have benefited through this Lok Adalat. Now, I request our principal sir, Dr. Kundendu Kumar Deo, to welcome our today's resource person.
Thank you, Bande sir. With the cooperation of the District Legal Service Authority, Legal Aid Service, Nasik, Navajivan Education Societies, Navajivan Law College is organizing virtual lecturers, and this is the second phase. We have completed the first phase on 29th and 30th, and this is the second phase. With the cooperation of the Legal Aid Service, we are conducting this one. On this occasion, I welcome the District Legal Service Authority Secretary, Prasad P. Kulkarni, sir, who has accepted our invitation and given his consent to deliver a lecture with reference to the legal aid and the scope of the legal aid. Sir, I welcome you on this occasion, and we are very much grateful of you that you have accepted our invitation. We extend our gratitudes also. I also welcome my beloved students who are regularly participating in this virtual class. I welcome my faculty members. I also welcome the participants from different regions who have taken part in this virtual class or virtual lecturer. The personalities or who are present here, I welcome them. Last but not the least, I would welcome my two coordinators who have taken the initiative for this virtual lecturer organization, and those two persons are Mr. Makarand Sudhakar Pandey ji, sir, and Dr. Sahista Inamdar for their lateral work which they have extended to this institution. With these few words, I complete my gratitude speech. Thank you very much for one and all. Thank you.
Yes. Uh, First of all, I request all of you to mute your mic. Please, dear students, to move to your mic. And now I request Honorable Kulkarni sir to address our students, participants. Over to you, sir.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, 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 sir.
First of all, I would like to sincerely thank Navjivan Law College for arranging such a nice lecture series. Uh, on the other day, I met Pandey sir and he briefed me about the various activities which Navjivan Law College is undertaking during this pandemic. And it's a really a laudable effort that you have arranged such a nice virtual lecture series phase 2. So congratulations, sir. I must appreciate the efforts of Kundendu Kumar Dev sir, Inamdar sir, and Makarand Pandey sir. Friends, so far as today's virtual lecture is concerned, topic allotted to me is legal services scope and effects. As we all know, there is a legal aid clinic, legal services clinic established in Navjivan Law College, and its object is to provide legal advice, free legal aid to the needy person, and it is one of the important function of the legal services authority which is delegated to your college. But that is not the only aspect which legal services authority is dealing right now. As Pandey sir rightly said, legal services are very much important and those are required to be implemented and disseminated to every person of this society so that no one would be left untouched and everyone would be having equal opportunity to access the justice. This Legal Services Authorities Act 1987, this is the one of very much important legislation which is in place at the moment. But one has to know how this act was enacted, what was the object behind enacting this act. And for that purpose, we have to, at the very outset, has to go through the preamble of our constitution. What our constitution says: we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, equality of status and opportunity. So, equality of status and opportunity is the very important terminology which is used in the preamble. And for that purpose, Article 14, equality before law and equal protection of law, that we all know, the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the law within the territory of India. So these are the crucial provisions. Friends, as we know that India is a subcontinent having population more than 100 crore with multiple language, various different culture, eating habits. So as we say that there is a unity in diversity, but in a country like ours, there are various kind of disputes. Those might be due to economic or social or religious or political reasons. But in order to address all those disputes, there is a regular mechanism in place that we call as a court, regular orthodox court. But for approaching any court or filing any petition or suit or a criminal case in a court, one requires a legal expert, assistance of a legal expert that we call an advocate. But every time it is not possible for a common man or a man who is not having any resources with him to approach court either on a civil side or a criminal side. So he may feel himself helpless that he is not having any resources to file a petition before court or address or approach court for redressal of his grievance. So for that purpose, Article 39A, Equal Justice and Free Legal Aid, that has been incorporated in the Constitution, which says the state shall secure that operation of the legal system promote justice on a basis of equal opportunity and shall, in particular, provide free legal aid by suitable legislation or schemes or in any other way to ensure that opportunities for securing justice are not denied to any citizen by reason of economic or other disabilities. So very intent of either preamble, Article 14, Article 39A is that no one shall be deprived of his right to approach a court or his right to file a petition, a suit, a criminal case only because of some kind of disability. Either it may be a social disability, it may be an economical disability, or other kind of disabilities. And keeping in mind that particular intent, the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987 was enacted. And the opening words of that particular act reads as an act to constitute legal services authorities to provide free and competent legal services to the weaker section of the society to ensure that opportunities for securing justice are not denied to any citizen by reason of economic or other disabilities, and to organize lok adalats to secure that operation of legal system promote justice on a basis of equal opportunity. So here we talk about equal opportunity. It should not happen like that. A person who is not resourceful, who do not have adequate economic background or support, and only because of that he was unable to redress his grievance or was unable to approach the court. And keeping in mind that intent, this act was enacted. So considering today's topic, legal services would be yet another important terminology. So what kind of legal services are provided under the Legal Services Authorities Act? Exactly what function District Legal Services Authority or Taluka Legal Services Authorities are undertaking under the scheme of this act? That would be very much important to know. So legal services, this particular term is defined in the act itself. What legal services? The term definition of legal services under section 2C of the act is, it includes the rendering of any service in the conduct of any case. So it is a service which is rendered for conducting any case or other legal proceeding before any court or other authority or tribunal, and giving of advice on any legal matter. So this is the particular definition of legal services as per Legal Services Authorities Act. So friends, these are the various provisions either incorporated in the Constitution or in the Legal Services Authorities Act, which substantiate that why this Legal Services Authorities Act was enacted. So bottom line is to provide free and competent legal aid to the weaker section of society. So that is the basic intent of this act, without there being any discrimination and without there being any hindrance or a problem to the weaker section of society. With the help of this act, they can approach the court. So this is the basic term. Along with this, one has to keep in mind the various facets of Legal Services Authorities Act, the hierarchy of the institutions, the work allotted to these institutions, and practically, pragmatically, how they work. So that is the very much important aspect. So we will deal with it one by one. So providing free and competent legal aid is one of the important function of the legal services authorities. If we go through the act, we can easily come to a point that there is a hierarchy right from the taluka level to the national level. At taluka level, there is a Taluka Legal Services Committee organized under this act, and the senior most judge of that particular taluka or tahsil is chairman of that particular Taluka Legal Services Committee. When we come to the district level, there is a District Legal Services Authority. Honorable Principal District and Session Judge of that particular district is the chairman of District Legal Services Authority, and a Civil Judge Senior Division will be the secretary of that particular District Legal Services Authority. While presiding over District Legal Services Authority, the nomenclature of Honorable Principal District Judge would be Chairman, District Legal Services Authority, and nomenclature of Civil Judge Senior Division would be Secretary, District Legal Services Authority. Like Taluka district, there is a State Legal Services Authority at state level and National Legal Services Authority at national level. So one of the basic function of District Legal Services Authority is to spread awareness, legal awareness in respect of various laws, various provisions to the various class of people. And for achieving that particular object, District Legal Services Authority used to arrange various legal awareness camps, say like laws relating to women, laws relating to children, labor laws, laws relating to under trial prisoners, so on and so forth. And for achieving that particular purpose, District Legal Services Authority, with the help of legal aid clinic or LC club, arrange various kind of program and thus disseminate a word and make people aware about their rights and make people aware that there is one association in place which is always ready and helpful to provide free and competent legal aid to the needy person. So providing legal awareness by way of organizing various legal awareness camp is one of the important function of either Taluka Legal Services Committee or District Legal Services Committee. So apart from that, as we have gone through the preamble of that particular Legal Services Authorities Act, statement, object and reasons, in that Lok Adalat, the word Lok Adalat was also there. So District Legal Services Authority, as per direction of State Legal Services Authority, from time to time organize Lok Adalat in a particular district. Recently, there was a Lok Adalat, and I can proudly say that we have secured, rather Nasik district has secured third place in the state of Maharashtra. We have secured a very good disposal in post-litigation segment and pre-litigation segment as well. So organizing Lok Adalat and forwarding cases to the Lok Adalat, that is one of the important function. Why Lok Adalat is so important? Because as we see in regular courts are overburdened with hundreds of cases. Even if a judge decide to work round the clock, but still it is not possible to dispose of all these cases within a short span. So if at all there is some mechanism which is in place which could provide such a platform to the litigants that without there being any unnecessary expenses and consumption of time, they can sit around the table, have a talk, and with the help of some expert, they can sort out their dispute and conclude the case within a very short time. So that is the reason provision of Lok Adalat is there in in Legal Services Authorities Act. So Lok Adalat is one of the yet another important function of District Legal Services Authority. Apart from that, so far as Nasik DLSC is concerned, we have started pre-litigation counseling center for matrimonial dispute. In April 2019, that particular center was inaugurated here. That has been and that particular counseling center is dedicated to the matrimonial disputes only. As Inamdar sir, Pandey sir, or Kundindu Kumar Dev sir, I know that they must be aware that the matrimonial disputes are rising in these days. Since last more than 15 or 20 years, the number of matrimonial disputes are increasing day by day. And once a matrimonial dispute enters in a court by way of a petition or some case, it goes on multiplying itself. If suppose some case of protection of women under Domestic Violence Act is filed, necessarily there would be a counter litigation either in terms of Section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act or Section 13 of the Hindu Marriage Act. It would be a restitution of conjugal right. Another side may file a petition for divorce, or there would be a case of 498A, 125 CRPC. So it goes on multiplying itself. And it will take a time to dispose of all these petitions. And by the time the parties suffer very much pain and agony, and situation become more worse when those particular litigants have kids with them. So to avoid all these kinds of agony, problem, consumption of time, and multiple litigation, say particular pre-litigation counseling center for matrimonial dispute is working. We have 3 counselors appointed at this counseling center, and we used to refer case rotation wise to this counselor. And we have a very good track record that we have successfully disposed of many cases in this counseling center. Apart from this, District Legal Services Authority, particularly at Nasik, we are running a pilot project, Defense Legal Aid Council System. And that Defense Legal Aid Council System is dedicated legal aid to the session triable cases only. We have session division at Nasik, Nifad, and Malegaon. So whenever any accused requires any legal aid in respect of either a sessions case, bail before honorable sessions court, or a revision, in that case, legal aid defense counsel system is the mechanism which is in place. So this is the preliminary information of District Legal Services Authority. Now we should turn towards section 12 of the Legal Services Authorities Act. Said section 12 is very much important as it prescribes the criteria for giving legal services. So section 12 says that every person who has to file or defend a case shall be entitled to legal services under this act if that person is a woman, a under trial prisoner, a child, a person with disability, victims of mass disaster, ethnic violence, caste atrocity, flood, droughts, natural calamity, like you say, or an industrial workman, person in custody, that is under trial prisoner, and whose annual income, as per recent resolution of Government of Maharashtra, whose annual income is below 3 lakhs. So friends, section 12 prescribes the criteria and lays down a list, and it says that these persons are entitled to get free legal aid under the scheme of Legal Services Authorities Act. So as and when any such person approach the Legal Services Authority, it is the bounden duty of Legal Services Authority to scrutinize his application, to verify bona fideness of his claim, and if at all he falls within or she falls within category of section 12, then any legal services authority, either it may be a Taluk Legal Services Authority or District Legal Services Authority, has to provide free legal aid to that particular person. And for that purpose, Legal Services Authorities rule, as per those rules, every legal services authority has a panel of advocates with them. So as we can say, we have around 100 advocates on our panel at District Legal Services Authority at Nasik headquarters. So whenever any senior citizen or any industrial labor or any under trial prisoner or any woman approaches us, so we scrutinize her application and we promptly provide a legal aid and promptly appoint an advocate for that particular person, and with the help of advocate, he or she can approach the court and file a necessary proceeding. So section 12 is the important section which prescribes criteria. But however, section 12 comes with a rider of section 13. Section 13 is the entitlement to legal services, and as per section 13 of the Legal Services Authorities Act, yet another duty is cast on the Legal Services Authority, that it is not a mechanical process, that application is received and mechanically District Legal Services Authority appointed an advocate. So District Legal Services Authority or Legal Services Authorities are supposed to closely scrutinize that application, and they are supposed to satisfy themselves that yes, there is a bona fide case which applicant needs to file, or yes, there is a bona fide case which applicant needs to defend. So in that case only, as per section 13, legal services can be rendered to the needy person or the person who are entitled under section 12 of the Legal Services Authorities Act. As I earlier said, chapter 6 deals with Lok Adalat. I would suggest to sir that whenever any Lok Adalat is organized in coming days, you may formulate a team of students, or your college may visit the Lok Adalat, and students can themselves see how the Lok Adalat works, actually how people come there, how they approaches the panel, how talks goes on there, and how awards are arrived at. So that would be that would be a very much good practical experience for the students, that I would suggest. So Lok Adalat cases are concerned, there are post and pre-litigation cases. Mainly post-litigation cases are those cases which are pending in the court on the date of Lok Adalat, and pre-litigation cases are those which are yet not filed in the court. But if those cases are not attended properly, if those grievances are not addressed properly, then there would be a litigation in future. So in pre-litigation cases, matrimonial dispute, or a dispute like non-payment of electricity bill or non-payment of telephone bill or nationalize bank NPA accounts. Those cases we take in pre-litigation cases, and post-litigation cases, all criminal compoundable cases and civil cases, District Legal Services Authority refer to Lok Adalat. The nicety of Lok Adalat is that once the case is disposed of in Lok Adalat, once the compromise is arrived at, a decree, compromise decree or award is passed, that becomes final. That becomes final means no one can appeal against that particular award. So it puts a finality to the litigation. Number one. Number two, there is no technical procedural aspect or unnecessary complicated procedure in Lok Adalat. It's a very simple, lucid, and clear procedure. Parties can approach the panel, they can sit around the table, they can have a talk, and if they want, voluntarily, they can arrive at a compromise. So far as post-litigation cases are concerned, if any case is settled in Lok Adalat, rather clients can get back the court fees which they have paid at the time of filing particular case. So that is one of the important aspect of Lok Adalat. So finality of litigation, cheap and simple procedure, that is in place. So students may visit Lok Adalat and they can have a practical experience. So apart from that, sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So apart from all these provisions, I would like to dwell upon certain other provisions in various other acts which touches the aspect of free legal aid. So section 89 of the Civil Procedure Code, settlement of dispute outside the court, that is one of the very much important provision which deals with alternative dispute resolution system like arbitration, conciliation, judicial settlement, and mediation as well. So far as this alternative dispute resolution system is concerned, District Legal Services Authority and all other legal services authorities are undertaking work of mediation. So we have a mediation center at District Legal Services Authorities office. There are empanel advocates on this particular mediation panel. Even most of the judges are qualified and trained mediator, and District Legal Services Authority used to refer cases to all those mediators. And we have a very good track record of settlement of many cases through mediation. See, mediation is very informal and lucid and very simple procedure. In a regular court, it takes time to record evidence, to hear arguments, to deliver a judgment, and despite of willingness of the parties, it may not possible that any particular case is disposed of within a short span or within say 1 or 2 months or 6 months. So mediation plays very decisive role in that particular aspect. So mediation, implementing alternative dispute resolution system and mediation, it is one of the very much important aspect of District Legal Services Authority. So section 89 of Civil Procedure Code says, when it appears to the court that there exists element of a settlement which may be acceptable to parties, the court shall formulate the terms of settlement and give them to parties for observation and refer them to arbitration, conciliation, judicial settlement, including Lok Adalat and mediation. Like section 89, there is order 10 rule 1A of the Civil Procedure Code. It speaks about direction of the court to opt for any one mode of alternative dispute resolution. So Civil Procedure Code prescribes that after recording admission and denials, the court shall direct the parties to suit to opt either mode of the settlement outside the court as specified in subsection 1 of section 89, and the court may refer the parties, shall fix a date and refer the parties for such authority. So, as per Legal Services Authorities Act and as per the various guidelines of these provisions, mediation is one of the important alternative dispute resolution system which we are implementing under the Act. Section 304 of Criminal Procedure Code is yet another very much important provision, and it speaks about legal aid to accused at state expenses in certain cases. So if suppose some accused is produced, or if he is facing some litigation before the sessions court, and in that case he is unrepresented and he do not have sufficient resources or money to engage an advocate, then under section 304 of CRPC, the sessions court at the expenses of state may appoint an advocate to represent that particular accused. So apart from civil procedure code and criminal procedure code, the Commercial Courts Act 2015, section 12A, contains important provision about pre-institution mediation and settlement. So under this Commercial Courts Act, whenever there is no urgency for pressing any interim relief, and if such contingency arise, then the pre-institution mediation has made compulsory. So parties are supposed to approach to District Legal Services Authority. They should file a pre-institution mediation case, and only if that case is not resolved, in that event only they can approach the regular court. So this provision also is very much important so far as ADR mechanism is concerned. Likewise, section 9 of the Family Courts Act, it deals with the duty of family court to make efforts for settlement. So it again promote alternative dispute resolution system and promote parties to approach such a system or a mediation and get their dispute resolved within a short time. Section 27 of the Mental Health Care Act 2017, it is also one of the important provision. As per said act, a person with mental illness shall be entitled to receive free legal services to exercise any of his right under this act. Subsection 2 says it shall be the duty of magistrate, police officer in charge of custodial institution, medical officer to inform about such right to mentally ill person. So Criminal Procedure Code, Civil Procedure Code, Commercial Courts Act, Family Courts Act, Mental Health Care Act, all these acts also contain various provisions which either deals with free and competent legal aid, legal services, or with alternative dispute resolution system. So friends, apart from this, all these provisions, now I would like to discuss some practical aspect of legal services authorities. You would say, sir, yes, all these provisions are in order, but in what sense they actually help people? In this regard, I would like to share some experiences with you. When I joined as Secretary District Legal Services Authority Nashik, I had paid visit to Central Prison, and during that visit, I had interaction with one inmate, and his grievance was he is in the jail for a period of more than 7 years without there being any charge sheet against him, and he was facing charges under MCOCA Act, and he was every time kept on saying that, sir, there is no charge sheet against me, and I don't know why I have kept in jail for such a long period. So after giving careful consideration to his, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
After listening to that particular inmates, we have engaged an advocate for him. We have filed a bail petition, and just within 8 to 10 days, you won't believe that particular under trial prisoner was released on bail under section 167 for not filing of charge sheet within time. In that particular case, the investigating officer had applied for permission to file charge sheet and permission to level particular offences against that accused, but that permission was not there for years together, and only for that reason that accused was languishing in jail for very, very long period. So with the help of District Legal Services Authority and panel advocate, we successfully fought for that particular under trial prisoner, and he is now on bail. So providing prompt legal services to either under trial prisoner or women or children. That is the very much important aspect of district legal services authority. Many a times it happens that uh, at that point of time also we provide legal service to that particular lady, and we see that the appropriate proceeding is filed in court, so that she will be having faith in the institution, and it will not happen like that, that without there being any opportunity, uh, she was unable to file any petition. So apart from that, district legal services authority implements certain compensation scheme as well. uh, Manodhere scheme, I think you have heard the name of this particular scheme. That scheme is in order, and that scheme is implemented for awarding compensation to the victims of sexual assault or sexual offences, be it may women or child of any age. So whenever any such incident is reported to the district legal services authority through appropriate channel, appropriate procedure, and whenever any such proposal is received to the district legal services authority, there is a committee. Said proposal we used to forward to the committee, and after considering all the pros and cons of that particular proposal, the district legal services authority used to grant compensation to the particular victim. Likewise, there is one compensation scheme, victim compensation scheme of 2014, that is also in place. So, providing free legal aid, uh, conducting alternative dispute resolution system, providing panel of trained advocate, trained judges to act as a mediator for resolving the dispute amongst the litigants, conducting Lok Adalat, conducting legal awareness camp, and providing free legal aid to all the beneficiaries under Section 12 of the Legal Services Authorities Act. That is the important function of District Legal Services Authority, along with all this compensation scheme. So this is the outline of Legal Services Authorities Act and legal services, its scope and effect. I can proudly say that from last 2 years, we have maintained a very good ratio of settling cases in National Lok Adalat. Thereby, we somewhat even though it is not that much considerable, but we somehow managed to lessen the burden on the regular court and providing a speedy and fast justice to the litigants by way of organizing Lok Adalat, by way of conducting pre-litigation counseling center for matrimonial dispute and pre-litigation mediation clinics. We have saved several matrimonial ties and matrimonial relationships, so that there would be no future litigation between the parties, and they would lead a normal and peaceful and enjoyable life. Defense Legal Aid Council system, that is a pilot project District Legal Services Authority Nashik is implementing at the moment, and we are providing legal aid to the accused who are facing trial before sessions court. So friends, this would be the outline of legal services authorities work and function of legal services authorities. And I think considering the time restraint, with the permission of organizer, I would like to stop here. If anyone have any question, and if time permits, sir can extend the session. Over to you, sir.
Any questions, audience? Any participants who want to ask any questions?
Yeah, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. This is Manish Ranshur. Yeah, actually, I want to ask. Yes, you rightly speak about the compensation scheme related to sexual harassment. So, what is the proposal procedure for that? How how much compensation given by the court to that particular lady?
See, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, so far as compensation schemes are concerned, there are two different schemes which we are implementing. One is Manodharya scheme, and second one is victim compensation scheme. So far as sexual offences are concerned, Manodharya scheme, that particular scheme deals with compensation in respect of sexual offences. And for that purpose, what is expected that as soon as the first information report of any such offence is registered, the concerned police station has to forward that first information report immediately to the district legal services authority. And whenever such first information report is forwarded, then district legal services authority should conduct a preliminary inquiry, secure all the relevant documents, and that particular proposal. Usually, it happens that the concerned police station used to forward said proposal to the district legal services authority. It contains the first information report, statement of victim, which is recorded under section 164 of Criminal Procedure Code. Then, if at all there is any issue in respect of age of victim, in that event, either birth certificate or school leaving certificate or bona fide certificate to show the particular age of victim. Then medical papers, medical examination papers, which were conducted by civil hospital. So, first information report, statement under section 164, and thereafter medical papers and age proof. Along with all these documents, they used to forward such a proposal to district legal services authority. And it is not the case that only secretary or only honorable chairman of district legal services authority take a call on that particular proposal. There is a committee in order. Honorable principal district judge preside over that committee. Said proposal we used to place before committee. All the committee members go through that proposal. They discussed among themselves, and there are guidelines issued by Maharashtra State Legal Services Authority. On only after applying that touchstone, that yardstick to that particular proposal, we used to scrutinize whether it is an appropriate case to grant compensation or to wait for some time or wait for further direction or proposal by the court. So that is the particular procedure provided, and depending upon the mental agony, the physical loss, the rehabilitation purpose, the cost which might have been incurred for medical expenses, disability, up to rupees 10 lakh, there is a provision which we can invoke and grant compensation depending on facts and circumstances of particular case. So there is a magnitude, degree of offense, surrounding circumstances, everything one has to take into consideration or committee has to take into consideration while dealing with such proposal. So I suppose that would be the answer of your question.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And one more question I want to ask, just for curiosity, is there any kind of cases have already been presented in your this legal authority, and
See,
how many cases you have disposed till date? Just for curiosity.
yes. Let me answer you. See, we are implementing, every district legal services authority in Maharashtra is implementing Manodharya scheme from 2018. Prior to that, that scheme was with Women and Child Development Office. Only in 2018, I suppose November or December 2018, that scheme was handed over to District Legal Services Authority, because there is a judicial angle. The way we approach to the proposal, the way we scrutinize the proposal, there is a judicial angle. So that might be the reason it was handed over to the District Legal Services Authority. So answer is yes. Every District Legal Services Authority in Maharashtra is implementing Manodharya scheme, victim compensation scheme. Once in a month, we used to conduct meetings. That meetings are confidential. Those minutes cannot be disclosed in public, as you know. So far as statistical information is concerned, that is not available with me readily so that I can tell you. But I can proudly say that District Legal Services Authority, Nasik, used to dispose of any such proposal just within, say, 2 to 3 weeks from the date we receive it. So since from my joining here, we have never kept any proposal pending for months together or even weeks together. So we used to dispose of any proposal in that particular month itself. So every district legal services authority is implementing that those schemes.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. It was really a nice session.
Thank you.
Yes, anybody wants to ask any other question?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. I'm
Yes.
Sanket.
Please continue.
I'm asked one question to Kulkarni sir, that you tell us about one of your anecdotes of your life, that you helped one person which was under trial but still in the incarceration. But I want to ask you that under which custody it was incarcerated, whether it was
Sorry, under?
PC incarceration.
Yes, I got you. See, it was
PC
in
or
the month of no, obviously it would be a judicial custody, no? It would not be a police custody for such a long period. See, what had happened, that was a MCO CA case, that was a MOCA case.
Yes, sir.
It was a, I suppose, gang of, say, 15 or 20 person. Those were apprehended somewhat somewhere in the year 2010 or 11. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Those were apprehended in the year 2010 or 11. All those accused were produced before Nasik court. Some of them got bail, but somehow this accused was got transferred from this offense to that offense, from Nasik to Mumbai, Mumbai to Kalyan, Kalyan to Thane. There were multiple cases against him. And after completing all those trials, or after getting bail in all these cases, he was transferred to Nasik. And when I visited Nasik jail, he met me and he tell that, sir, there is one case against me at Nasik. I was produced in Nasik court prior to 7 years, and there is no charge sheet, sir. I do not have any clue whether charge sheet is filed, whether it is not filed, what is the stage of my case. So, sir, please help me, let me know the current situation of my case. So after meeting him, I appointed an advocate. With the help of my staff, I started taking a trail of that particular case. And what I discovered is that after getting bail in all those offences, only one case remained against him. And in that case, charge sheet was not filed for a period of more than 5 or 6 years. So it was really a great setback to that particular fellow, and even to the system as well. So I have engaged an advocate for him, and within a short period he got a bail. And now he have filed a petition before Honorable High Court. It is pending before Honorable High Court Division Bench. And in that particular case, he is agitating that without there being permission from the competent authority, why he was kept in jail for such a long period. So his grievance is mainly against the investigating agency, the competent authority which used to give sanction for implementing or adding provisions of MCOC. That was the case I remember. But but certainly I cannot disclose name and any other particulars or any other detail of that particular case in this forum. So that would be adequate answer, I suppose.
Yes, sir. It's my
And I
honor.
regularly visit jail, Nasik jail. I regularly visit. There is a legal aid clinic at Nasik jail itself. And during this lockdown, Honorable High Power Committee, by its resolution in the month of March and thereafter May, has issued certain direction that if at all they provide particular category of cases, and with the help of district legal service panel advocates, legal aid clinic, and our PLVs in jail, we have processed around 900 applications of under trial prisoners under the High Power Committee's resolution for interim bail. So it is not the case that after few months or after a long period I visited there, and that was the only one accused we have helped. But we regularly used to do this exercise. I have just given that example because the period of detention was very much long, and obviously it was a judicial custody, or it was not a police custody at all.
Thank you very much, sir. I am very benefited by you, and I am honored to such interaction with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, dear friends, any other question? Or shall we sum up? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. You have very lucidly discussed about the various provisions of Legal Services Authorities Act, and I'm sure that the students are really benefited while studying their law, pursuing their LLB. Now, I request my colleague coordinator, Dr. Shaista Inamdar ma'am, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks for day 3 on behalf of Navjivan Education Society's Navjivan Law College. I, Dr. Shahista Inamdar, coordinator of this virtual lecture series, take the opportunity to thank Shri Prasad Kulkarni sir, Secretary of District Legal Service Authority, Nasik, for his valuable guidance and words of wisdom enumerating constitutional and statutory provisions relating to legal aid. I assure you, sir, we faculty and students of Navjivan Law College will surely be there voluntarily for legal aid, as our vision and mission of college is to help weaker section of society and to provide legal assistance and spread legal awareness in the society. For this purpose, Navjivan Law College has arranged various legal awareness programs in the rural areas in collaboration with District Legal Service Authority. Moreover, our legal aid clinic of Navjivan Law College is also providing legal aid and legal assistance to the needy person, and it is functioning under the leadership of Shirsai Sir, retired district and sessions judge.
Yes, yes.
I would like to thank Honorable Bade Sir, Bade Ma'am for their blessings and support system of our Navjivan Law College, our Honorable Principal Dr. Kundendu Kumar Dev Sir, who is the convener of this program. And I also thank my colleague and co-coordinator, Makaran S. Pandey Sir. Last but not least, I thank all the participants around the nation to join this session and make this phase very successful. Now, I would like to inform you all that tomorrow, day 4, we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Yatin D. Game Sir, who is Secretary of District Legal Service Authority, Mumbai, and he will guide us on ADR techniques. And an important note for all the LLB second year students that this phase is specially for your next semester, that is practical training, and you have to write report writing of today's session and tomorrow's session for phase 2, day 3 and day 4. Thank you, sir. Over to you, Pandey sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Kulkarni sir, for accepting our invitation and guiding us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So now I declare that today's session is over.
Sir, virtual photograph.
Yes, yes. I request all the participants, including Kulkarni sir, to start your camera so that we can take a virtual photograph along with you, sir. Please, all the participants, please start your cameras. All the participants are requested to start their cameras so that we can have a virtual photograph with all of you. Yes, Shaista ma'am.
Yes, sir, we are doing it. We are taking
Yes.
different photographs. Just a second. Again, Dipti, you also take the photographs from here we are taking. Yes, done, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much again, sir. Thank you very much.